Good evening, everyone. This is my first podcast. My name is Michelle, and I am the CEO of a company called IDME Consulting. We specialize in security consulting, audits. We have an operational app that assists managing guards on residential estates and other big corporates. And I just wanted to introduce myself and my company. I would like to start a podcast, and this is the beginning of that journey where I share my joys, my fears, the exciting times, the daunting times of actually becoming an entrepreneur. And really, my journey started where I was almost pushed out of corporate. Well, I was pushed out of corporate for about the second time. Both bosses telling me that I give 150%, where I only need to give 100, and I'm setting the bar too high. So, although it was a very, very painful time in my life, you sit and question everything about yourself and your value and your purpose. It was probably thanks to that I actually started my own business, because the fear was taken away and I really had no choice. So I wanted to just walk through the journey and share some highs, some lows, and eventually get to a place where I can discuss more about what I do and impart with some of my experience and my knowledge, and just encourage estate managers, security managers, HOAs within estates of how to manage operations correctly. So, if I give a little bit of background of where I really got all my experience from, I was 17 when I matriculated. I came from a really good Durban North home, and I remember having a conversation with my dad and saying to him, "Dad, I want to become a policewoman." And he almost fell off his chair and he said, "Over my dead body, will you become a policewoman?" And I said to him, "Dad, you know what? I want to help others." And that's really where the base of this all started. He still was not convinced, and I've always had a very determined spirit. And I said to him, "Well, we can do this one of two ways. With me being 17, you have to sign me up. And if you don't, I'll find a way to get in." So, needless to say, he signed me up. I went off to college at the age of 17. I was miserably homesick. I phoned reverse charges in tears every single night of my life, begging my father to get me out. But I did persevere and I got through, and really it made me the woman I am today to have to go through that military training. I was in the police for about 16 and a half years, and always worked in operations. I was in crime prevention, field unit, I worked in the detective branch. And then towards the end of my career, I specialized in working with crime intelligence for specific vehicle projects, specifically on hijacking syndicates, where we'd actually profile hijacking syndicates and do the whole organigram and then work through and arrest all the kingpins and all the guys working for them. So it was a really exciting time, and it's quite a career to have worked in such a male dominant industry and being one of the only females. But it was also, for me, a really great environment, and I learned so much. I learned about the strength that I had even as a woman, and working amongst all these men. It really taught me a lot about myself. It gave me so much, taught me about tenacity and determination and not giving up. And I think that is really the base of my whole character now. So after about 16 and a half years, I decided that my life was a little more valuable than chasing hijacked, insured vehicles for a living. And I decided to reach out to some of the local security companies to see if I could leave the police. The first one I did offered me a position, and I worked with them for about 6.5 years. And there I specialized in community projects. We're setting up security initiatives in communities to assist them in eradicating and really displacing crime out of their area. Unfortunately, it always went into a neighboring area. But this gave me a lot of experience in looking at the challenges, especially when it's not a gated estate. You're dealing with people with different walls and different dedication levels. So your neighbor would be in the other neighbor on the other side not interested, and now you have a security risk on that side. So I think I learned a lot of challenges. It was a very successful time, and I was promoted a couple of times, and once very shortly after starting. I eventually left. That was one of the corporates that I was actually pushed out, where my boss told me I give of 150% and I'm pushing the bar too high. So I went out. I decided that I was going to leave the security industry, and I went into hospitality, and it was more so on the cleaning side and managing all the top Durban hotel contracts for a specific cleaning company, with the view of becoming the GM of that division. Well, it didn't take me long to realize that my passion did not lie in wiping a table with my finger and discovering dust. And it was very shortly afterwards I went back into the security industry, and joined an international security company. I became the regional business development manager on integrated systems. So this really involved CCTV, access control, and fire. And it was really there that I found my niche in business development and being able to open up doorways and build relationships and maintain relationships in business. And I realized that that's the key to business, is being able to form those relationships and get a foot in the door. But one thing I learned as well is, even if you are on the sales side, I've always been a person of very high integrity, so I would never oversell or not deliver on what I'd promised. So I would always keep it to the standards that you expect your team to meet. And I could never control that, which freaked me out a little bit. So I decided, and this was the second corporate where I was almost pushed out, where I was called in by my boss and told that she thinks I'm inhibited. She thinks that I'm inhibited as a woman in this industry, that I saw the writing on the wall. And I remember sitting on a beach where I live, and I was devastated. I had given so much. People thought I owned the company, because my passion shone through so much. And I remember thinking my life was over. What was I to do? I would have to go to a different province because I'd kind of reached the top in KZN. And where would I go? And it was there and then that I decided I'm going to start my own business, and I'm going to promise my clients the level of or the standard of service that I want to promise, and I'm going to fulfill those promises and see it from start to finish. And this is really where my business, ID.me Consulting, was born. And although it was such a fearful time for me, a lot of that fear was taken away because there was a need to just succeed. I had no other choice. So it was quite interesting, because from the first month of me starting my own business, I invoiced from my very first month, and it's gone great ever since. I've really made a name for myself within my industry. I now am sole distributor of an operational app that assists estates in managing their guarding complement, as an independent and directly for the estate, so they have full control. I consult on estates. We do operational audits. I do training. I assist with drafting of standard operating procedures. I assist with drafting service level agreements. I think my main aim in this industry is to actually change the industry and to make security companies accountable for the high rand value that they charge out to their customers every single month. It's always been a case of there's a fee that you must pay, and if the ball gets dropped, then sorry, we won't do it again. And unfortunately, that doesn't cut it. When crime is as it is, there is a certain standard that you have to meet, and there has to be a consequence to not meeting those standards or those objectives. So that's really where my business started, and this was about 3 years ago. And it's really been going wonderfully. I'm so enjoying being an entrepreneur and the freedom. I think just to be my unique self, and to offer that level of service, knowing that if I'm giving 150%, my clients are receiving that and they are happy with that. And it's not being told that you excel above everybody else, and rather you create your own road in your industry and people see you excelling, and that's how your business grows. I haven't had to market my business much. Most of it has been word of mouth, and like I said, it's been going really great. So this is just an introduction to me, to what I do, and I want to start a podcast to encourage people, entrepreneurs, women, just to take a chance. If they've got a passion burning in them, you'll know if you should be working for someone or you should be an entrepreneur. Not everybody has it in them, but if you've got it in you, you know that the fire is burning. Don't be fearful. You need to take the leap, and you need to lead and do what you need to do. Follow that passion and keep that fire burning, because if you need to have a fire burning in you, you won't be satisfied working for somebody else. So just keep positive, keep your dream alive, keep focused, and just do it. Signing off, Michelle.